Hello my friends, this is Linol Anderson here with you guys with a brand new YouTube BitChute video. And in today's video, I'm going to be revealing the disturbing truth behind Nibiru, something called the Phoenix. That's right, the return of the Phoenix. I haven't told you guys about that yet, but you'll hear about it today. And the Great Matrix Redo, I like to call it. You know, how things were in this Matrix simulation and things keep restarting over and over and over all over again. Yeah, we're going to get into that because, you know, it's kind of bad news for everybody. I found out, let's just say, these redos happen a lot sooner than I thought and a lot more frequent. And we're on the verge of the current one. So we're going to get all into that, but before we do, encourage you guys to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Subscribe to survive. I covered all from Nibiru, extraterrestrials, interdimensional beings, Matrix, NWO, and how it all ties together, what's happening in the world. And please do Lionel a favor and hit that like button. Helps me with the algorithms. I'd be forever grateful. Now let's just get right into it, my friends. So yeah, I came across some information, and you know, I've been trying to figure this out for a long time now because, you know, according to the Sumerian myths and stuff, you know, they say, oh, Nibiru, it comes around every 3,600 years. You hear that, and I've even heard people say 360,000 years it comes around. And I've heard other people say, oh, 1,000 years. And I've always wondered, what is the truth behind all this? And to be honest, I still don't think we know an exact amount of years, how often it comes. But I've got a pretty good ballpark. But there's another object that's coming around a lot more often, even more than that, my friends. So I'm going to get into the Phoenix first. There is an object called the Phoenix, my friends, which looks like a planetary object as well. Others have likened it to maybe a giant UFO craft. What it is, it's a technology, it's a weapon, maybe it's a UFO. It's a weapon that these dirty lizards have, let's just put it that way. Because we know we're in this Matrix simulation that they're harvesting our lower vibrational energies, right? That's what this is, it's a loosh farm. And they need to control the population. They need to control everything that goes on Earth. So they have something called the Phoenix. It's this weapon technology. And they bring it around. I know this is going to be hard for you guys to hear. Every 138 years, give or take. Sometimes it might be a little bit more than that. Sometimes maybe even a little bit shorter. But it comes around every 138 years and causes massive destruction. Not as bad of a destruction as Nibiru causes, but it causes destruction, all right? It causes what I like to call mini redos, okay? And instead of a worldwide destruction all over the world, it more targets specific areas, continents around the globe, right? So, where am I getting this information from? I recommend checking out the YouTube channel Archaics, okay? This guy studies history very good. And let me just say, history is not what you believe it to be, okay? History is all a lie, and they've covered up all these redos. The last redo, and this is according to this guy's information, was 1901. That's right, in 1901, the Phoenix came, and it targeted a specific area on the planet. I think that's where you get this Tartary from. But yeah, it wipes out entire civilizations and entire continents, pretty much, that were there, and it totally changes things. And then they lie about it through history. They cover it up. They come up with other events saying, oh, is this, is that, it was this flu that took everybody out or whatever, you know. And then it gets lost in history because the powers that be destroy the history, cover things up. But there are some traces. So this Archaics guy has found the evidence of this destruction happening in 1901. And he's gone back every 138 years back to the, you know, 1800s, 1700s, and has found evidence that this has been a pattern happening every 138 years. And the next one is due 2040. And he says May 15th, May 16th. I'm not a fan of dates, okay? I never give dates, so I can't confirm whether that's actually going to happen on that exact date that he's saying, but I think 2040 is a pretty good guesstimate of something major happening for the Phoenix. But the bad news, my friends, now Nibiru, it comes along every, according to this archaic guy, 700 years or so. 750 years, I think. That's right. So I don't know if he's right or not, but I'm thinking it's probably somewhere in the 700 to 1,000 year range. And when Nibiru comes, which I've told you guys before, it's not necessarily a planet, a physical planet, like we're in a matrix simulation. It's an interdimensional object, planet, ship, whatever you want to call it. And it's where these lizards reside, right? And they're coming to do the harvest. Well, they wait the 750,000 years or whatever for humanity to build up its population. And once it's prime for harvest, they come, they harvest. Well, we're at that point. And according to this archaic guy, they're going to do this Phoenix one in 2040. And he says 2046 is going to be the Nibiru, which will be the worldwide devastation harvest event. And I've always had a feeling it'd be around 2045 area. So I think he's spot on when he says that. But that's what it looks like is happening, my friends. So it's concerning, and but the beautiful thing is there's this ascension process happening at the same time, because the powers of the light, the star seeds, and our interdimensional friends they have put us star seeds on the earth to help raise the collective, and then we have all this activity with the sun. We got the Ascension, 5D Ascension thing going on, and we're trying to put it in a stop to this cycle that keeps repeating, and that's why the powers that be are so scared, right? Because humanity is waking up that, hey, we're in a matrix, you guys keep redoing the system all over and over again, and there is a way to stop it all. So they are getting worried, and they're trying to stop that, because as humanity wakes up and raises their vibration, then it's game over for them in their matrix, right? So there is good news. I don't want to be all doom and gloom, but it does look like this is what is happening, and you want to get on your highest timeline. You don't want to be on this 3D timeline where all these things will take place. It's all about timelines. There's multiple different timelines playing out. But I want to show you guys some pictures, because I want to get back to this history all being a lie, my friends. Like, for example, we've had technology many times. That's what happens. Like, we've had this technology we have with phones and all that. We've probably had that before every redo. Every 138 years, every 200 years or so, we have this technology. It builds up. This archaic guy was saying it only takes about 200 years to go from horse and buggy to the technology we have now. And we've had it many times, many times. This is nothing new. Everything that's going on in the world today is nothing new. You want a good example of that? Let's talk about these cathedrals and stuff. I know, because I've been to Europe. I live in Germany half time during the... I'm going back there in May, I'm always in Germany, and I went to Austria. I've seen these Gothic cathedrals that were supposedly built in the 1100s to the 1500s. Okay? Take a look at this. All right, so they want you to believe that these beautiful, magnificent, sorry, I can't pronounce that right, magnificent, You know what I'm trying to say. These beautiful buildings, we had no technology back then. It was all done by hand and everything. These buildings are massive. We don't even build buildings that nice today with the technology we have. And we're supposed to believe, it took them hundreds of years. They were just up there with their hammers and doing stuff all by hand. I don't think so. No. We had technology to be building stuff like that back then. We've had technology all the way back thousands of years ago. History is a lie, my friends. Even back to the pyramids. How the heck did you build the pyramids, right? Technology. We had the technology. We had these creators of the Matrix, these interdimensional beings help us out with their technology. That's what happens. They keep redoing things. And after the great redo, then they come the gods or whatever. We think they're gods, but they're not. They're just these interdimensional lizards. They give us the technology. They teach us how to do everything. And then they disappear again. A couple hundred years goes by. We rebuild. There you go. That's the Phoenix anyways. With the Nibiru event, we got about 700 to 1,000 years, right? Because when that one comes, it wipes out the entirety of the planet. So it's just a cycle that keeps on repeating itself over and over and over. And they lie about it. They delete the history. They destroy the history, right? That's why we always see them destroying historic sites and everything, burning down the libraries and stuff like that. Because they're keeping the history from us so we don't figure it out. But guess what? I figured it out. Now you're figuring it out. We're all figuring it out. We're realizing we're in a matrix here, man. We're in a simulation. This isn't right. They're feeding off our lower vibrational energies. We're awakening. This is exactly what they did not want, but it's happening. They can't stop it because there are light forces out there who are not putting up with this no more, and they've sent volunteers in, like myself and you, if you're a starseed, to come and remember who we are and now share it to the earth seeds and all the people who've been caught in this trap for thousands and thousands of reincarnations. Who knows? We're here raising the vibration of the collective and waking up humanity. So I got a video I want to end this video with, just showing you how all history is a lie and proving everything I just said. So we're going to get to that. But before we do, I just wanted to say, if you appreciate my work, definitely check me out on Patreon, where I'm teaching you guys how we can continue to ascend so we could get our frequency filled out of this lower vibrational frequency of this matrix, so we could escape the matrix and leave this matrix, so we're not caught in this recycling loop. Okay, we want to get out of here so we don't stay on this timeline where they have their Phoenix in 2040 and they have their Nibiru and all that, because it's gonna be heck on earth, let's just say that. But definitely check me out on Patreon with my Ascend to 5D class. There, I will teach you everything that's necessary to raise your vibration, open the third eye, and be able to beat this game we call life on Earth. So check that out. I got the health class as well, occult class, Pleiadian channelings. Your support means the world, helps me to continue doing what I do. The link is down low in the description, or if you just like to simply buy me a coffee, I'm on the website Buy Me a Coffee. It means the world to me. I hope you've subscribed at this point and hit the notification bell and like this video. Now we'll close the video with this clip. Just proving everything I'm saying about how we've had the technology back then. It's just recycling. Okay, my friends? Lionel, signing off.
You can never find truth. All you can do is find false, drop it and get rid of it. And eventually, when you can't get rid of any more false, what you're left with is the truth. How much false can you find? And there's lots in history. I was looking around the internet and came across the images of the 1893 Chicago World Exposition. And it blew my mind because it looked like ancient Rome in the middle of downtown Chicago. And as I looked at it further, well, here's another one in Philadelphia, here's another one in St. Louis, in Buffalo, in San Francisco, and then as soon as they were done, they tore them all down and threw them in the garbage. That just told me there's something wrong with all of these. The story of the expositions is a gigantic lie. And I think it's so huge of a lie because I think they're right at a bridge point when so many things about the 1800s that seem strange and weird, right as this sort of period ends of unbelievable strangeness, and all of a sudden these fairs spring up all over the world with impossible buildings we're talking about, which are colossal structures. Chicago built 700 acres of fair in supposedly less than 2 years. St. Louis built 1,200 acres of exposition buildings. One of the buildings in Chicago, the manufacturer's building, would house 300,000 people. There's a giant statue in the middle of the lagoon. It was called the Golden Lady, and it was known as the Statue of the Republic. It was 65 feet tall. They say it was covered in gold leaf that had copper underneath, but others speculate it was actually made out of solid gold. So you're talking 65-foot high, potentially solid gold statue. We're talking giant structures and looking like ancient Rome with towers and domes and columns and the most fine, ornate pieces to them in these record, unbelievable times. Then as soon as they're done, chuck them in the garbage. Like Jackson Park is a swamp. So supposedly they had to drive down tens of thousands of wooden stakes in order to support the weight of everything. They dug out massive lagoons, lakes. They had a canal system that ran through the entire exposition. They also had an above-ground electric train. An electric train, well, where's the electricity coming from? That's running around the park. They had a moving walkway down by the shore. Not enough people are asking, where does this technology come from?
Just to frame it, if I'm not mistaken, the Chicago Fair was the first time people had seen electric light.
Tesla's the one who got the electricity contract for the Chicago Exposition, and it was certainly more than all of the lights anyway that were in New York City at the time were at the Chicago Exposition.
Yeah, it must have been mind-blowing for most of those people who had only seen gaslight or candlelight at night to see that city lit up in such a way. Again, count the ways. It's 1901. We are told, whether it's true or not, the idea of being able to electrically do anything hasn't been around that long.
And this fair is bizarre. This is supposed to be Tesla's fair, where he managed to somehow move electricity from Niagara Falls to Buffalo for the fair. No one's really explained how he actually did that. And at the middle of the fair is a 395-foot high electrical tower, on top of which, of course, is a female golden statue called the Goddess of Light. And this thing was lit up by, some suggest, 500,000 electric light bulbs. Again, when you look at the photos of this thing, it's just, where do they really get the power from?
I mean, think of what it would take today if you had a place with no electricity and no way to pipe it in, the generators that would have to be built.
For example, there's a building that went up for the Barcelona exposition in 1888. It was claimed to be the fastest built building in the world, 5,000 square meters, capacity for 2,000 guests, 600 rooms, 30 apartments, and it was supposed to be built in 53 days. This is supposed to be a time of horse and buggy. The 2-year building times are actually impossible unless the two most likely theories would be either A, they had a technology that they're not supposed to have, and it really was built in that time frame. Even if they built them, they had to build them out of marble and stone in record time, or the buildings were already there. They'd been there for hundreds or thousands of years, fixed up, refurbished, repainted, hence the term whitewashed, which is the term that was used for the Chicago Exposition, which was paint all the buildings with this brand new spray paint that they had just developed to spray paint all the buildings in record time, so you couldn't tell if anything was old or anything was new.
How long did these things tend to stay open? When they built these things, supposedly over 2 years, which is the narrative, how long were they there for?
About 6 months.
6 months for the public to come.
And then what was amazing, for example, in St. Louis, 2 days after the fair ended, they brought in a demolition team from Chicago with explosives and blew the thing up. They actually used dynamite to blow it up, and they say threw it in landfills. Things like the World Fairs shows there was a time in our past, and even not that far in our past, where humans seem to be at a completely higher level. Human living and human knowledge were constructed into the buildings using cymatics, using sacred geometry. These fairs, they're so important to study because the history that we know right now as history was invented at the time these fairs were going on. One of their underlying nefarious purposes was to teach a historical narrative to the population that they were supposed to believe and agree with. And scarily, the world we're walking into today is in some way has its origins during the time of these fairs.